Alrighty, girls, I've done it again. I've messed up my audio for this week's episode, but we figured out the problem and we promise we won't do it again. And by we, I mean me, except maybe next week. Anyway, enjoy this week's episode. Hello, hello. I don't know why I say goodbye. I say hello. Hello, hello, Kelly Savage. How are you today?
Great. How are you today, Caitlyn?
I'm feeling rather musical, probably because we just went to go see the Mean Girls musical. Finally. It's been out for like a month now, right? And neither of us had seen it, which is blasphemous because we are mega Mean Girls the musical fans, and we'll get into more about that later. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty jolly and energized and musical today.
Wow. What an intro. Yeah, I'm glad
Yeah,
we saw it. I was worried that it was going to leave the theaters before we had the chance, and it felt like something I didn't want to just, land in the queue for at-home viewing. So glad we got the
no,
chance to do that.
it was way too special for that. And I feel like times are a changing back to the way they used to. Like certain, if I feel like if they weren't blockbuster hits, they'll fizzle out more quickly. But gone are the days of just like a short run at the movie theater. I don't know. Maybe that was never a thing, but I just feel like COVID kind of like changed the game for movies, and it's only recently rekindling its popularity.
Maybe. Yeah, I've never been like that much of a moviegoer. I obviously like the whole popcorn with butter and an icy bit, but like sometimes I get a little distracted and I don't want to be a bad patron and like bring out my phone, but like I want to. So it's
Yeah.
got to be a movie I'm like really into seeing,
Well, you know how I
like
feel
Mean
about
Girls the musical.
right. You know how I feel about theater etiquette, and that includes movie theaters and artistic theaters. Not that movie theaters aren't artistic theaters. What I don't know, what do you call them? Theater theaters?
Live theater.
Live theater. Like if it's not a stadium, like no phones. No phones, okay? And I feel very passionately and I get very irritated by the surrounding people whenever they try to like whip out their electronic. And I had to swat you a few times because I could tell you had the instinct. But since it was Mean Girls the musical, you were pretty tuned in, so I appreciate your I don't know what's the word.
Attention.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
sure.
should ask Matt how I was during Oppenheimer,
Oh,
which
I can't even
was
imagine.
what felt like a 4 hour long movie.
Well, I can't even blame you there. Oppenheimer seems incredibly uninteresting. Probably hot take of the year or of 2023. But
um,
I never saw it and I never had like an interest in seeing it. But I don't know what it's about, so I'm
well,
just
it's
a girl.
about Robert Oppenheimer, I think his name's Robert, who essentially was the father of the nuclear bomb that we dropped on Japan in the
Mm,
40s in World War II. Um,
okay, okay.
and
Right.
it was also kind of like a race with Russia to like see who could develop nuclear power first. And
Cool, cool. Okay, so
yeah,
I
so
just
it
sound like a
was
big fat doofus for like not knowing what this is about and like why it's culturally relevant. So I'll take that L.
yeah, I would
But
say read about it, like read the plot because it
yeah.
is interesting. And the point there is that like he did exactly what the government asked him to do and like did something very hard, and he was a very intellectual man, but then he was crucified by politicos trying to make a name for themselves, going after people who were had any sort of ties to communism
Yeah.
in the 50s, which was like a thing that a bunch of like Republican politicians came for a lot of academics and people in the Hollywood circles for their potential or even loose ties to communism that were like it was a what's the word, uh witch hunt, and it like
Mm,
ruined his life and career even though he was not a communist.
okay.
But just that word was very polarizing, and like I mean it obviously communism's bad, but
Right.
the point was the people that they were like ruining their lives over like suspicions of communism were in most cases not communists. So that was kind of the
All
other
right.
point of it, was like the ongoings of like him developing this nuclear weapon. And they also created a town to do this, to develop these scientific advancements, which is Los Alamos, New Mexico, which still stands today as a like
I was gonna
functional
say, does that
city.
town still
Yeah,
exist as that name?
sure
It
does. I
sounds
know
familiar.
of the Los Alamos firefighters, of course.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you're great friends with them. Well, does it sounds like an important read, so I'll get to that. Maybe not watch the movie. I'll
Yeah,
I'll
I
I'll
would.
read the wiki page.
Yeah, I would do that. But I
Great.
learned some things, but it wasn't worth 4 hours of my day.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. I was more on the Barbie side of 2023, so
Yeah.
that's all I have
We
to say
saw
about
both.
that.
We saw both. I would see Barbie
Yeah,
again,
that's
and we need to
good.
see Oppenheimer again. Yeah.
That's good. Um, well, I think we kind of teased this last episode. I know it's been like a crazy few weeks. We've been here, we haven't been here, then we were here again, and then we weren't. And that's just because we're like a little bit chaotic, but in a fabulous way. And all that to say, we were able to go see Mean Girls together because I am back in Atlanta. Woo! Welcome
Welcome
back
to
to me.
Atlanta, where the players play. Shout out to
Yeah, yeah,
Usher
yeah.
and Ludacris, Super Bowl
Shout out to
performers.
Usher. Yes. Oh my gosh. Like we don't really have a segment on the Super Bowl because we figure our time has passed, but like that was crazy. I know everyone has some like hot takes that the performance wasn't that good. I personally I enjoyed the showgirl bit. It was like a little all over the place, but I appreciated what they were trying to do with the feathers and such. And Kelly brings up a major good point about Usher, which was what?
That he's 45 years old.
Yeah,
Was it that?
yeah, and doing
Yeah.
like
And roller
roller
skating.
skate arts.
Yeah.
It was
And
crazy.
yeah, that man hasn't aged a day. And you mentioned that I guess that you're in your sphere. The take was that the Super Bowl show is not impressive. I did not see any of that. All the people my age were like gassing up Usher and loved every moment of it. So I didn't see
Oh,
any
well,
Usher
good.
hate.
Well, and I mean this with love and respect,
But
but like
I
your people
mm,
are more of his people, I would say.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely. That's what I'm thinking is that like maybe the age of your peers and those that you might have seen with commentary are looking at
right,
it strictly from a entertainment performance level standpoint. Those my
right,
age and a little older had a lot more nostalgia about like, oh
right,
my god, this is Usher. He was doing this shit 20 years ago,
right, right,
and killing it. So yeah, you're right. I think we have a little bit more of like a personal attachment to him as a performer, and therefore we're
for
probably
sure.
like rooting for him and enjoyed it from all of those levels. And I thought he had some good, co-performers, Alicia Keys, who talk about revisionist history. The NFL like edited the Super Bowl halftime show before they put it on YouTube, and they erased her cracking on that first
No
note.
way.
Yeah.
Did
Mm-hmm.
they really? Wow,
Yeah.
that's actually so nice of them. Like, I would want them to do the same.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Absolutely.
Alicia's Peeps at the NFL. Like, they're real ones for that because
Mm-hmm.
people are probably going back to click and be like, oh my gosh, like, listen to Alicia Keys' cracky note, but it's gone
Nope.
from
Nope.
history.
Yep. AI said,
Ah,
"We got you, girl."
wow.
Yeah.
Obsessed with that for her. Yeah, well, overall, I think like Gen Z just doesn't really expect I'm sorry, respect their elders. I just ruined
Yeah,
my own
I know.
joke.
I get that from I get that all the time. And I'm not saying I get that like I agree. I'm saying I feel that often.
Oh, so this is a personal attack.
No, I didn't say that, but if you think so.
If the shoe fits, but like the shoe doesn't fit because I'm doing your chores. Okay, so back to business. I'm back here in Atlanta. Kelly and Matt have welcomed me back into their home as if I guess I didn't do too much damage last time that I was um welcomed back with a oh my god, I keep tripping over my words today. I was welcomed back with open arms. Only with a few caveats. I don't have to pay rent, which is like so nice and cute.
Well, that's not a caveat. That's a like that's the
No,
opposite
I
of caveat.
know. I know. I'm saying no caveats. Or
Oh,
the
oh,
only
oh.
caveat is that I have to do your chores for you.
Oh, right. No rent,
And,
but chores.
yes, yes.
I see.
Um, and so we have this little bit going that I came back to Camp Kelly for my winter session or spring session, I suppose.
Spring.
We're
Well,
rolling into the interim
it's
session.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Spring semester.
So yeah, to where we have many activities during the day. The weekdays mostly include me fetching Kelly lunch, um, putting away the dishes, fetching her packages from downstairs, fixing her a diet vanilla Coke, things like that. And then the weekends, which are, Kelly's off days, like a normal working person, not necessarily mine, but are filled with more fun activities such as brunch and luxury shopping for specific goods. And just
Blowouts.
no. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Blowouts at the dry bar. We don't wash our own hair at Kamp Kelly, um, and fun field trips as such. So it's really such a great time, but it doesn't come without hard work. I have to earn my place at Kamp Kelly, and
Yeah,
everyone thinks it's just all fun and games all the time, and it's just not. So just want to make that very clear that we are a working household.
absolutely. Yes. Yes. I mean, nothing's for free in this
Sorry.
lifetime, and nothing can be for free at Kamp Kelly, though we want it to be a positive experience. And I feel like it's a good trade-off. Like, I get a diet vanilla Coke made for me in a wine glass while I'm working, and you
Mhm.
get a free place to stay. And I made you breakfast like 3 times this week from the
Totally.
mess
Like,
hall.
oh, like let me not skew that in any sort of direction because just as much as I provide for Counselor Kelly, Kelly Counselor provides for me.
Camper Caitlyn.
Camper Counselor with a K, like the Kardashians.
Right.
Yes, the mess hall has really some beautiful signature dishes. I actually have gone off site for dinner most nights, but the resident chef Matt really is a special talent and makes some wonderful balanced dinners. I'm not able to enjoy them because of my focus at the camp. I'm at the theater camp. Hello, Kelly's Camp Kelly Theater Edition.
Yeah, you're on the performing arts track.
Yes, where I go off site and I go to my rehearsals by night. Um, and by day I get to eat avocado toast by Counselor Kelly, and it really is delicious. We wake up at noon and we eat brunch, and then I lounge around and do my chores, and then I go off to rehearsal, and it's really a great system we have going. But today was Sunday Fun Day, um, which to get back on track, we went to go see Mean Girls. We had some brunch too. We
Mhm.
had some sour snacks, did some shopping, and now we've come home and we're gonna have dinner at the mess hall tonight. So really thrilling stuff. Summer camp is not just for summer; it's all year round.
Exactly. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm sad to be leaving you this week because I've been home for the last 2 weeks or so. February has been a pretty slow travel month for work, but it's about to ramp up. And I'm headed out to San Francisco tomorrow, actually to Santa Cruz. But so
Mm-hmm.
actually, no, I'm flying into San Francisco and then I have to drive down there and then I fly from Santa Cruz out of San Jose. So it's like a little bit further from San Francisco, but it's a pretty lengthy flight tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I did get that first class upgrade. Shout out to Delta. So thank you. Um, and then I have a presentation on Friday in Nebraska, which is a state I've never been to. So
No way.
yeah, I think I'm not exactly sure my current tally. I think I'm at like 37 out of 50 states, which is pretty good. Um, and I'm gonna be at 38 or whatever my number is. Nebraska is one of the states I haven't been to. Honestly, haven't heard a lot about Nebraska other than from Lady Gaga in that one song where she says, Nebraska, Nebraska, I love you, you and I.
Oh,
That song.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, you have. We'll play it
Oh,
after we're done recording. But I'll
okay.
be playing that when I pick up my rental car in Omaha for sure. Um,
Amazing. Is that where the corn musical Shucked is placed? All I can think of
um,
is in Tampa.
well, that's Florida. Um,
Right, obvi.
no,
Is
they
it?
don't
I thought it was
define where it's
Nebraska.
placed. The only thing they
Cobb
define
County.
is Cobb County, which is where we are right now in Georgia. No,
Right.
they leave it ambiguous, but corn is the state. I actually don't know
Right.
like if it has a special designation in Nebraska, but that's what they're known for. And their
Right.
University of Nebraska team is the Cornhuskers. And fun
Yikes.
fact, we've actually been to a University of Nebraska football game when they played Clemson in the Gator Bowl in the year like 2009 or something. And
Oh.
fun fact, that's when I learned that the Gator Bowl, I think it actually is now called the Tax Slayer Bowl, but back in the day, the Jacksonville bowl game during like end of year bowl season, the
Hmm.
sponsor, I don't know who the sponsor was, like, because like what is Gator? I don't know, but like kind of how like the Fiesta Bowl and the Sugar Bowl and the Cotton Bowl, they had the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida. And
Yeah.
I, being not attuned to football, always thought the Gators played in the Gator Bowl.
I think that's still what I thought.
Well, it's not. What happens, because I was like getting dressed for the game. The reason we were going is because our cousin Kevin was in his high school marching band, and his high school marching
Right.
band was chosen to perform in like a performance of many high school marching bands. I'm unclear now why wasn't it the college band playing, but his band was playing in
Right.
the Gator Bowl halftime show, and so my family went to support Kevin, and I was like, okay, well, obviously the Gators are playing in the Gator Bowl. Should I wear blue or orange? And somebody was like, no, it's Clemson versus Nebraska. And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense at all. And that's how we
Well,
learned
that's
that
dumb.
the Gators aren't in the Gator Bowl. I guess they could be, but they're often not. And that, and we attended a University of Nebraska Cornhuskers versus Clemson Tigers game. So heading to Nebraska this week, but rather than like stay extra time in California or go to Nebraska early, which doesn't sound amazing, I'm actually stopping in the middle of the country in Dallas for an overnight because
Hmm.
to see my bestie Grace and celebrate her birthday. She turned 30 on February 10th. So happy birthday, Grace, 30, flirty, and
Happy
thriving.
birthday, Grace.
Yay. Spoiler alert,
Flirtiest.
I ordered her a present and it got here yesterday for me to take on my trip, and then it returned to sender because apparently USPS didn't see the apartment number on the label. So I'm really angry about that, but I'll have to deal with that
Yeah,
tomorrow.
that's a mega setback. But
Yeah,
Grace,
the fact that it
Grace will
was,
understand. It's just annoying because you did all the preparation and we're
I did,
prepared to have this lovely gift
yeah, and
for her.
it was in the apartment building. Like it literally
Yeah.
said like in parcel locker, and then 5 minutes later it said return to sender due to insufficient address. Like you
You
had
know
the
what it's
address, it was
giving?
literally here. What?
You know what it's giving? Michael Perkins.
I was going to
Thomas
say
Perkins.
American Airlines and your suitcase.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Less, just as annoying.
Well, that's
Well,
American Airlines, and this is the USPS, and they have a lot in common. But I'm stopping in Dallas. I am apparently coming empty-handed to see Grace, and I'm flying American. I haven't flown American in like probably a
oh
year,
God,
but
don't check
American is
anything.
no, well, I have a checked bag, so I'm kind of
Well, I think it's going to be okay because it's like properly going to be checked, not like a check at the
yeah,
door situation. There's not going to be like a dummy, no
right.
offense, caring for your luggage. But on this kind of like sour note, let's just keep it going and um, dive into our segment of Kelly's nuptial news because we've got a few relevant notes there.
Yeah, on this sour note, Matt and I are still getting married. I guess I should lead with that.
Yeah, yeah, don't worry.
Actually, it's unclear because he has left once again to go to the North Pole, which is, I think, as far away from us as you could possibly get. Caitlyn got here and he's like, oh my God, these two are too much. I have to go to the North Pole.
What did he say? What did he say about the pantry?
Oh my God, he opened the pantry and goes, oh, the Snacker sisters are back.
That is the new name of this podcast, the Snacker,
the Snacker
Sisters.
Yeah,
Or maybe an
an
additional segment. Yeah. For example, I like was waltzing down the chips and crackers aisle and Teddy Grahams caught my eye, but not like normal Teddy Grahams, like the mini Teddy Grahams in like the snag and seal bag. And my idea was to put it in like a little charcuterie board bento box for my rehearsals,
Cute.
which is genius if I do say so myself. But like, yeah, there are like Teddy Graham,
Girl Scout cookies
Cheeto,
that we found.
Girl Scout, Cheetos in a can, like lots of fun stuff.
Yeah, and he hates that stuff. He is like so vanilla and loves like a well-rounded meal and nothing in between, and couldn't be me.
Psychotic.
And couldn't be Caitlyn. So now he was already contending with my many snacks and dips in the fridge, and now it's doubled because of Caitlyn's arrival. But I digress. So yeah, he's not here right now. He's like eating reindeer stew up in Finland.
Probably.
That's for real, actually. But
oh my God, wait, that's really sad. Don't tell me that.
yeah. So last week I got an email from my wedding planner who will not be named. And it said, "Hi, Kelly. Due to some unforeseen health concerns, I am stepping away from weddings and taking a new role. So, like, okay, she doesn't sound that sick. She sounds like she's leaving the company. I hope she's okay. But the short of it is that she is resigning from being my wedding planner and from planning weddings at the company she was working at. So, like, it's not just me. Blah, 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 blah. We're handing you off to another planner within our company. So that was not great because I specifically signed with this planner or this company for this planner because they had sold me on her expertise with our venue. And in the initial conversation about their services, they also emphasized how complicated our venue is because it is a working theater and it has like other events going on at the same time. And it's probably not that deep or serious. Like, I'm sure any sufficient experienced wedding planner could handle it, but I was sold on their company because of that factor, and that they said she has done many, many, many weddings there and was like their resident go-to for the venue. And before that, she worked at the Four Seasons as the in-house planner there, so I really appreciated her kind of background in luxury weddings. And we had an initial call where we kind of talked through everything, and I really liked her, and I got a good sense of confidence from that interaction and was excited about moving forward. I was just about to sign our band and our photographer when this occurred. Oh, but like, rewind to, I did not sign with our venue until I confirmed that she was available as our planner for that date. So like, I really lined up everything very specifically of like, okay, this planner who's very experienced with this venue is available on this date. Let's sign for this date. And before I did so, truly, I think I did everything right. And unfortunately, life happens and she is out, which was definitely a shake to the system. And the person I've been reassigned to definitely does not have the same experience at the venue, does not come from the luxury planning background that this one did. And I had the chance to meet with her this week, and she seems like a nice person, but honestly, just like not a great personality fit for me. And it is not a good situation that we're currently in. And it has really kind of drained me emotionally and just kind of like put kind of a pause and an overall sour note, as you said, on where we are with planning right now, because, you know, I thought I kind of had that piece locked and loaded, and now everything is very uncertain and just really sad at how this is kind of all unfolded at the moment.
I know, and I'm so sad to see you so distressed and sad about it. And it is especially frustrating because it's one of those things that like you can't control, obviously. As you said, life just got in the way. And you did think so, you did so much forward thinking in pulling together all of these details that it just feels like you have to start from square one, which you don't. And I know you're taking measures to not have to do that, but it's just kind of up in the air as to like, okay, how are we going to pull this together and stay on track and not have to backtrack, because like this is now just impeding on like steps that you were prepared to take in the coming weeks. So it's really frustrating, and I am so sorry this is happening, but we're going to get through it. And
Yes,
we're
we
going to
will.
make it out alive on the other end, and it's going to be beautiful and wonderful. And also a note that coincidentally Matt and I both brought forward was that like you are probably amongst let me rephrase that, you are more prepared than the average person to being
She's
okay.
choosing her
Let me
words
start
so
again.
carefully as to not send me into a bro spiral. I can tell.
You've always been this way. You are going to come forward knowing probably just as much, if not more, than the expert that you're talking with. And that's a great quality. But it sets you up for a little bit of dissatisfaction sometimes. So I think in this case, especially, you were so over the moon with your initial planner. You felt like you jived really well. She understood the assignment, if you will. She was the right vibe. Personalities really mesh. Like it's kind of like finding a therapist, you know? Like you want to make this person might be great, but they're not great for me. And that's nothing personal. It's just business. And so it's really tough. But in addition to that, like you have very high expectations, not higher than they should be necessarily, but you also like have all you've thought of everything plus some.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
And but I think that is the like most challenging part. And I understand why someone trying to like pick up where this other planner left off is already starting from a disadvantaged position, because you're totally right. I am over prepared. I do my research.
Mm-hmm.
There's virtually nothing I haven't already thought of, you know, like I keep seeing all these posts, like 10 things to think about before your wedding day, you know, and I read them and I'm like, oh my God, who hasn't thought of this? Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, you're telling me someone's getting married and hasn't thought about all these things plus a million other things. Like what?
Mm-hmm.
And Matt looked at me at this wedding we were sitting at one time recently-ish and said, you know, something people don't really think about is the order of events at the reception and how much that impacts like the flow of the evening. And I looked at him and was like, what? What do you mean people haven't thought about that? That's all I've ever thought about at a wedding. Like, and I'm thinking about
like,
it. What?
The show run, right?
Exactly. Like people, who are people? People aren't me. So, yeah, you're totally right that yeah, maybe I do know too much. But that's what I was like excited about hiring a planner for, was like, I want them to add value to my life and my event, and I want them to take it to the next level. And I also want them to reduce some stress from me of, hey, I want you to think about these things and like bring forth something that I don't know because you do this every weekend and then some.
Right.
Whereas I've never done this from my specific seat. And now I kind of feel like that's not what's happening. And it's just very disappointing. And then of course I, you know, have kind of looked into some other options. And the first quote I got for other services was triple what we're contracted for right now. And like, I get the sense that I would be much more satisfied with this other person's level of service, but like, you get what you pay for. And we certainly were not budgeting for 3 times what we've already agreed to and paid some of and are in a contract for, you know. And luckily I do think I have some opportunity to potentially get out of this contract if I really feel that strongly. I have a lovely friend who is a contracts attorney who's taken a look at the situation for me. And actually, when we kind of went to our Rolodex, we have a bunch of friends who are contracts attorneys. I shouldn't say a bunch. I can think of at least one other. But I don't
watch out if you ever want to sign a contract with Kelly.
Yeah, watch out. We've got friends, but I don't want to be consulting attorneys at this point. On
certainly not. You don't
breach
have time
of
for
contract from either direction, or you know, what are our options, and like having to fight for our money back from vendors at this point, because like I'm not trying to get out of something I signed up for. But I didn't sign up for this. So I could talk about this in circles for hours, and I'm gonna, I think, put a button on it there. But the thesis statement is, I'm just sad. I just wish this wasn't happening, but it's happening. So
oh my God. Sorry. I don't know what came over me.
The devil has come over her. Oh my God. God bless you.
Okay, I'm back. There was a person coughing in the Mean Girls Theater, and both of us were like cringing.
No coughing. Get out.
Yeah. Gross.
But in better news, in Kelly's nuptial corner, this week is bringing forth, as I stop in Dallas on my layover, my extended layover from California to Nebraska, we are going to bridal store number 13.
Which is absurd. It's almost as absurd as the quote number that you got from this wedding planner today.
Yeah. But no, I'm not going to talk shit about her quotes, because I think she probably is providing a luxury service to people who have budgeted for that and have that within their wedding budget. That's not possible for us at this point.
Right.
I mean,
okay. If we were leading an alternate lifestyle of your regular expenditures, meaning maybe you didn't shop as much, or maybe the clothes that you like didn't cost as much.
Then I
And that's
absolutely
all.
wouldn't be paying that much for a wedding planner.
Sure, but I'm just saying it's like, I don't know.
No,
I won't say
she
further than that.
her prices are right on for a different type of budget than ours,
Right.
and I don't know because I haven't ruled it out yet. There might be a situation where
Right.
we have to find a way, but going
All's to say,
backwards,
it's a lot up in the air.
there's a lot up in the air. But going back to the dress shopping, yeah, this is stop number 13, and I'm kind of committing to it being the last one. It is Iconic Bride in Dallas, which, like, already obsessed with the name. And
Iconic.
without giving away too much, if you're really interested, you could look it up. But they are the flagship store for a specific designer that I really like and have found a front running dress for, but want to make some changes to if we decide she's the one. And the designer or design rep is who owns the store. He would be doing like all of the changes if I ordered it elsewhere. So I kind of wanted to just go straight to the source and talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny / unhinged part is that this process started in New York because the first dress I tried on, or like the dress kind of we're talking about here, was at Kleinfeld in New York. And when we were talking about potential changes, our lovely associate at Kleinfeld texted this person and said, hey, is this change possible? How much would it be? What does that, process look like? And he gave her all the info. And then when I went shopping in Atlanta, they also carried this designer, and we tried on a similar dress, but not quite the same. And I just was like kind of discussing some of the changes I might want to make. So without talking to me first, they also texted him and we're like, hey, we have a bride here and she's wondering if these changes can be made. And he responds and is like, yeah. And like gave us the same info. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going to know that it is me. But also like, okay, people are probably texting him, like these, sales associates from all over the country all the time.
Right.
It's not that deep. So then I go out to California, and I was there a few weeks ago, and I found this designer again. And I tried on the first dress again. And I'm talking about the changes, and the sales associate, who, by the way, I went to Ole Miss with, and like we knew each other. That was absolutely outrageous. Yeah. And she was really cool. So it was a good experience. But she was like, do you want me to text him? And I was like, no.
Please don't.
Please do not text him, because he's going to be like, what is this crazy bitch doing? Going from New York to Atlanta to California to try on the same dress. Like, what are you doing? Right. So I'm like, no, do not text him. So later that day, I get back to my hotel, and I'm like, okay, let me just call and make an appointment at the store in Dallas, because I have to go through there anyway. I just want to go straight to the source, talk to him about what's possible, So but before I'm going to make an appointment there, like the point is to meet with him. So I wanted to call the store and make sure he was going to be in the store for the day I was making the appointment. So I called him, and I'm like, hi, this is Kelly. I tell them kind of what I'm trying to do. And the girl's like, whoa, okay, let me talk to give me a minute. Right. So then someone gets on the phone, and it is James, the owner of the store. And he goes, I've been waiting for your call. And I was like, oh my God.
Hey, crazy wench. It's like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Come hither.
Meanwhile, I'm like, I didn't expect that, like, the people in New York, the people in Atlanta, like, did they tell him my name?
Right. No, maybe just like, I've been waiting for your call, you crazy wench who has this very specific request that I've now been asked about 3 times.
Maybe. I don't know. But I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I probably seem so crazy. And he's like, no, whatever. Like, I'm just so glad you're coming.
He probably lives for it.
Right. Like, she knows what she wants, and she's going to go get it here, there, or anywhere. So he was like, yep, I'll be here. Can't wait to talk to you about it. I am so excited you're coming here, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wow, okay, amazing.
I'm sure.
And I followed them on Instagram, and in addition to the dress that I'm eager to kind of workshop with him, they've also posted some other like iconic pieces that I haven't seen elsewhere, and I'm excited to try on. And I love their branding, or their kind of motif is giving very like it's the store's literally called Iconic Bride, so it's giving very like iconic bride, if you will,
like statement piece,
fresh statement pieces, which is like not what I found in California for the most part. Like LA was a lot of like Editorial
Yeah,
looks,
right,
you know, like too cool for school fashion girlies.
right. For like the
Florida,
slender string being type, which is
yeah,
great.
yeah,
Just
exactly, just not moi. And then Florida was a lot more like conservative stuff and honestly
yeah,
just kind of like ho-hum traditional things. I
like
think we
Palm
got
Beachy, which
mm,
love Palm Beach, but like I say that meaning like kind of like
no, I would just say like kind of a little bit more
modest.
basic. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Um, and then, you know, New York, I think, is like the closest we've gotten to the sun in that, you know, it's
yeah,
New York. They're going to have the most like kind of, I think, fashion, but not fashion in a New York sense, not in a California sense. So I'm excited about
right.
this. I feel like we're right on the money in terms of the kind of style I'm looking for. I think he's going to totally get what I'm trying to do. And I'm excited for him to help me hopefully find a solution. If not something else there, find the exact way to make me super happy about really one of the first dresses we found and that I've consistently loved over the last 3 months, 2 months, I guess, of this
Yeah.
pursuit. So that is the exciting, happy stuff going on. And then I feel like I had one other thing in Kelly's nuptial news. Is there anything
Well,
on
I
your
have
agenda?
something, not really
Sure.
news, just that we at brunch today actually we were focus of conversation was kind of like bachelorette stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
we have nothing to share other than like that's kind of in motion, and we're getting yeah, I say we because it is kind of like traditionally isn't the like maid of honor, like not to be presumptuous, but like supposed to like technically plans it. So
Yeah.
I'm like not trying to, I don't think you have that expectation of me. I mean, of course, I'm gonna, however you want me, however much you want me to be part of that, I would love to, but I know, uh, how do I say this? Similar to the wedding planning situation, you like to be very close
Hands
to the
on.
details.
Hands on with the
Yeah,
details.
a hands. I think you'd prefer a collaboration rather than a this is in your hands, which I appreciate too because you have very high expectations and I like to think that I meet them most of the time. But I think you also like to be you like having your hand in the pot.
Yeah, yeah, totally. No, you're right about that. And like a trip of like all my friends who I know
Right,
much better than you and much better than anyone else. Like I do understand and know why and can agree with some brides like delegating the bachelorette party or like any other such task to the maid of honor or bridesmaids or whomever
Mm-hmm.
of like, hey, you're gonna run the show on this. And I think it's just all about personality types, you know? Like
Yeah,
I could
definitely.
absolutely I could absolutely take on the task of being the maid of honor and like planning that and making it happen for someone
Mm-hmm.
else. Someone else doing that for me is like, that seems like a weird thing,
Right,
you know?
because
So
you are always the person like just as you said, personality type. You are
yeah,
detail oriented. You like to plan. You're good at
I
it.
like
Like
to be in
et cetera, et cetera.
control. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I don't want to count myself out, not that I'm not good at it or wouldn't do a good job, but I feel definitely more comfortable being kind of like a sous chef
Yep.
rather
Great,
than the
great
head
analogy.
chef on
Endeavor.
this meal.
Yeah. That's
So
a
yeah,
great
but we kind of had some
analogy.
fun conversations, relating
Yeah.
to bridesmaid,
Well,
proposal, if you will,
the
and
first thing, let's
uh,
not get into that
trips
just
and
yet, but
no, no,
we
no,
were
we
kind
won't.
of
I'm just
talking
saying that.
around the Hamptons, because I've the hard part about the bachelorette thing is that I've been everywhere in the United States, at
Yeah,
least, except for Nebraska and a few other
right.
states.
Clearly,
But those are not bachelorette destinations.
no.
So like I've already been to Scottsdale, I've been to Nashville, I've been to Napa, I've been to Charleston, I've been to Miami, I've been everywhere that people go, so it's like that whole element is kind of out of it, which is good. I mean, I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to do all that, especially on the dime of work in the most cases.
Hmm.
um but I haven't been to the Hamptons, is where that was headed.
Hmm.
And we were kind of tossing that
I
one
wish.
around. And like, yeah, that would be kind of betchy, but it is proving very difficult because my prospective list of people to invite to such a event is like kind of lengthy. But it can either be like kind of a bigger party or it can be kind of a smaller party, but there isn't so much of an in between because it's kind of like I have, again, a blessing, like groups of friends. Like I have my friends from Orlando and I have my friends from college and I have
Mhm.
my friends for, I guess that's it. In terms of groups, because obviously then I have like you and my cousin Megan and my friend from high
Yeah.
school Alicia. Like there's
Well,
like
and you
one-offs,
have
but then there's
sprinkles of
also
like
groups.
pageant friends and
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
some
yeah.
other people to.
Exactly. But there's like a few in each pocket. So, and it's like, I wouldn't just invite like one friend from here. I'd invite,
Right.
that becomes 3 or 5.
Right.
So
Right.
the
Right.
list can either get like kind of lean or kind of bigger. And like, I'm of the opinion I'd rather invite all the people you want to invite the people that you want to spend the weekend with, right? Like this is the one opportunity you get to like get all your people or like girly friends, whatever, together for a fun weekend. And like that is a rarity, especially the
Yeah.
older we get. So was tossing around the Hamptons, and there's just so many rules with the Hamptons. Or I guess the size of the house that we would need is what is making that kind of prohibitive, because that's hard to find there. There's so many rules. A lot of the houses like don't allow groups. Like they don't want bachelorette parties there or just like parties in general. They want it to be like very family rentals, which like ew. Um
But the funny thing is those houses don't lend themselves to being like family
right.
homes. They're like
Right.
very upscale chic. I mean, as the Hamptons is. It's not
Mm-hmm.
really like a place for kids, but it's a
No.
place for very wealthy families.
Yeah.
So
Very
I don't
wealthy
know. It's just an
families, which is
interesting
not what we're
dynamic
doing.
to try, right? To try to
Exactly.
juggle.
And I've seen it done. But the other thing, well, and it's also just not like, it's not easy to get to, right? Everyone would have to fly into New York, LaGuardia probably,
Yeah.
and then we'd have to rent cars to get out there. And then, the flights back, people are going to be coming from all over the place. So like that would be very hard to line up to be able to get everybody back in the right way. And
Yeah.
there's not a lot of places you could bring a big group. Blah, blah, blah. There's not a lot of Ubers on the island, is what I understand. So
Uh-huh.
I just see a lot of complications. And I also like, whereas there's a pro or like exciting component to going somewhere you've never been, that's also
Uh-huh.
kind of like very anxiety producing for me to bring other people or to like drag people somewhere I've never been and can't vouch for, or like kind of lead the way on like what we should do, where we should go, knowing that from personal experience, because I would
Right.
be like paralyzed in fear that it like wouldn't be fun, or we would, just like do it wrong because I have no idea. And then it would just like not be a good time. So the front runner, and then Napa was another idea. Kind of the same issue though. Like big houses are hard to come by. They are very expensive and everything's very spread out in wine country. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to have private transportation. There's really nowhere to go out to dinner, certainly with big
Oh,
groups.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because like
and that's like a
Napa's not a
favorite activity of ours. So.
right. Napa's not like a city. It's a region ish. I mean, I think there is
Mm-hmm.
there's Napa County, but like you stay in like Santa Rosa or Petaluma
Okay.
or like other places, and that's where like finding an appropriate sized house is hard. Like we went there for my friend Taylor's bachelorette party, and my friend Ashley planned most of it, and she just nailed the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I could probably talk to her. But it, I don't know. It
There's
also
just a
seems
lot of moving
complicated.
pieces.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we've been tossing around Scottsdale, and like I've been to Phoenix, I've been to Scottsdale multiple times. But it's kind of equipped for bachelorette parties, like maybe as overplayed as it is, like it's got all the right infrastructure that removes a lot of the like challenging logistics. It's fun. And I'm kind of, especially given that I travel a lot for work, like down to just like go be at like a cool, gorgeous house for the weekend, not have a
Yeah.
ton of movements, and just like enjoy
Yeah.
the company, enjoy my people
Yeah.
if they're down for that, and really kind of just soak in the sun and have some downtime rather than like running around to bars and clubs and doing keg stands and shit. Like I'm too old for that.
Right. That's like not the vibe. And I think, as you said, and recognize like the crowd that you would have, I think would also appreciate like that to kind of it double as a vacation. It's like we're going to celebrate Kelly. Yay, of course we want to do that, but it's not like, okay, here we go. I have to like rest for the whole week so I can like turn up in
Yeah, no.
Scottsdale, like not the vibe. So yeah,
Maybe
I think
one
kind of
night.
just like yeah, of course, like silly good fun, but nothing it's not like we're gonna rage and
No. And the
like
thing
we're
about
past that.
me is that I love to sit. So
Hmm.
like if we're going out,
Sitting is good.
I like, we're going to have a table or like
Right.
we're going to be at a bar with a seat with a back on it. Like I'm not standing
Yeah.
around waiting for people to buy me drinks. I can buy my own drinks or like
Yeah.
I'll Venmo Matt. I don't know. But like I don't need anyone to
Right.
buy me a drink. And I certainly don't want to like
Right.
stand around waiting for one. So,
Yeah. Buy the bride a drink is not going to be written on any windows or doors
no, I'll buy
of
myself
any
a drink.
cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it'll
I am a
probably
smart,
taste
independent woman.
it'll taste better than any drink anyone's going to
Yeah.
send me. So,
Absolutely. Signature cocktail, please.
yeah. Very, very, very
Yeah.
dirty martini with blue cheese olives, Grey Goose, no ice chips. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's Kelly's
Amazing.
nuptial
So,
news. Good news, bad news, everything in
yay!
between. Hopefully, it all gets, starts to shape up.
For sure. Well, with that, I think really the last piece of news we have, or last topic, is, back to our Mean Girls review. We love to voice our opinions here, if you couldn't tell. And we are not subject matter experts on most things, but Mean Girls the musical, we are.
We are.
Collectively, I think we have seen it 8, 9, or 10 times.
Oh my God. Wow, really? I've seen it.
Well, like,
I've seen it
I've
four
seen it 4
times.
times. Okay, so 8.
Yeah.
Well, how? No, because maybe I saw it 3 times because I saw them all with you,
Oh, okay.
and there was definitely a few that I wasn't at that you were. So
I
I don't know.
saw it on Broadway twice. I saw it on tour in Minneapolis on October 3rd, Mean Girls Day,
Crazy.
which I think should count for 2 probably. And then I saw it
Yeah.
on tour here in Atlanta with you like 2 years ago now,
Mhm.
probably. So yeah, that's 4. But anyway, we know a lot about Mean Girls the Musical. What a lot of people didn't, and we saw Renee rap in Mean Girls the Musical. We saw the original Regina
Yeah.
once, and then we saw Renee do Regina before she
Mhm.
was like a pop star. So I mean, this is kind of how
Yeah.
she got her start. So we knew Renee before anybody
The
else.
OG
So.
days. Mhm.
And yeah, we know a lot about this. We knew it was a movie musical, which I think they like were trying to keep kind of low key, and I get why.
Yeah.
And the short of my review is that I really liked it. We thought it was funny. We thought it was well done. It's not supposed to be serious art, so like everybody who's
No.
being a hater, chill out. I thought
Right.
the updates to like some of the language and the approach on the social media and TikTok of it all worked. I have
Mhm.
nothing negative to say. I don't think.
Yeah. I,
I love
for the most part, agree.
loved the cameos. Loved Ashley Park, who was the Gretchen Wieners on Broadway. And
Mhm.
people say she's one of my celebrity lookalikes. Many of you may know her as Mindy from Emily in Paris. Loved
Mhm.
the surprise Lindsay Lohan cameo at the end. Sorry for spoiling if you
Yeah.
haven't
So
seen it,
fun.
but it's been out for like a month, so I'm sure you have. You're
Yeah.
going to. Who else do we see?
Well, Tina Fey's part in the whole thing, so fun that she reprised her role as Miss Norbury. Um, oh, this was something we didn't previously discuss. I thought the casting for Katie. Okay, so this is like, everyone has different opinions about this. What's her name? Angori Rice? Okay, I thought she was fine. I thought she was good. Katie in general, I think, is supposed to be like kind of vanilla,
Kind of mid.
and
Yeah.
she's malleable, and I thought she executed that well. Was she a fabulous singer? No, but I think the way that Katie is supposed to be portrayed in this musical adaptation on stage versus on screen is very different. And I credit this thought to you, Kelly. I don't mean to just take your words and make them my own, but um, like just on talking on stage adaptation in general, everything is going to be way more animated, way more obvious, way cheesier. Just that's the nature of it. That's the nature of theater, especially like musical comedies and musicals that
Yeah.
are being adapted from movies, commercial stuff. Like it's
Because you have to
all going to
sell it
be,
to the back of the house.
yes, absolutely. And that's just how it's going to translate. Whereas, when you adapt it for screen, especially a movie that was adapted for the stage that has now been readapted for the screen. Like, you have to make some changes.
Subtleties.
And yes, a lot of people are very upset by the changes that were made, particularly with the music. But let me finish my thought about Angourie Rice. I don't remember what I was going to say. Oh, that I thought the casting, like her as a individual, fine, okay, I don't really have many thoughts about that. But Jenna Fisher as her mom, I thought was so spot on. I was like, wow, they really do look related.
Yes,
And like I
totally.
can see this mom-daughter dynamic. So I thought that was really good. Um, really the only number that, sorry, what
Oh, I
was
was
I?
just gonna say, kind of funny that they like wrote the dad out of it. Like in this
Yeah,
version,
I was
there's
thinking
no
about
Katie's
that before
dad,
we.
and there was in the first
Mm-hmm.
movie, and there was in the musical, and they probably were just like, you know
Yeah,
what, he doesn't further the plot at all.
no,
He's
he
out.
doesn't.
Yeah,
It's like, let's have like a superstar, like single working mom. Like,
yeah.
okay, go off. Love it. The only musical, like, let me think through them. I was honestly surprised by how many of the songs they kept in the movie. By the way that people were talking about it on TikTok and criticizing, I thought the only songs they kept were like "Sexy," "World Burn," um,
Someone gets
maybe
hurt.
"Someone Gets Hurt." That, like, I really thought it was just going to be like those three, and then I knew that Regina had her like "Meet the Plastics" moment, but they cut the rest of the song. I thought the cuts that they made were actually very appropriate, and they all moved the plot further along, but while still keeping the pacing of the movie and the story. Because, again, just in the nature of musicals, like, you start and stop a lot for the showbiz of it all,
Yeah,
and
and
for a top
musicals
number.
are also
And
2.5 hours long, and nobody,
right, right,
as you
right.
heard me say about Oppenheimer, nobody wants to sit
Hmm.
through a movie that's that long, especially
Nobody's paying
a musical.
attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the demographic being like teens and young adults. Um, I agree with the widely accepted criticism that the stupid with love was really hard to listen to. But again, Kelly, you made a really good point that I think in this version it was supposed to be kind of a more like this is happening inside her head, like what is that called? A soliloquy, if you
Oh
will.
wow,
And
vocab
yeah,
word. Yeah.
he snaps for me. But yeah, like more of a soliloquy, less of a I'm performing
Performance.
this number now. Yeah.
Right.
And like Katie is supposed to be again like kind of vanilla and like
Little frumpy.
socially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like the musical, for those who may not know, is very over the top and like I'm a goofy character and like this is crazy and this is all happening like in freeze frame mode, which was
Mhm.
great and I loved that in the show, and I like that version of the song better, but it was just had to be adapted
Yep.
differently, and I respect it.
Different, not better, not worse, just different. It's its
Mhm.
own
Mhm.
animal. And Tina Fey has like I forget what show she was on, but she like was talking shit about all the TikTok Broadway people like
Yeah.
farting all over her and the changes that they made. Because for those who don't know, Tina Fey wrote the Mean Girls movie, and then she worked with her husband, who's a composer, to put it on Broadway, and now has like readapted it back. So obviously she's in the movie, but she also like is the movie.
Mhm.
And then I guess she's aware that a lot of like of the Broadway community has just been so like mean about the movie and the changes that they made, even though there are some like
So
standout
critical.
Broadway people, and like Renee Rapp is a Broadway person, and it was absolutely a star vehicle for her, and she's just like, shut up, and like either just like get on board or get out, but like we don't need your hate. And
Yeah.
I'm with her. I think it was not warranted.
Yeah.
They can all stand alone and exist together. Renee Rapp was a
Mhm.
star, is a star. Like the adjustments that they made for the songs for the movie, like she's so good, and they were so good, and her
Yes.
star is probably only going to continue to rise. And
Mhm.
she's so good. Like go for just her if you want,
Right, right.
if for
And
nothing
I
else.
really haven't
But
yeah, I haven't
wait,
seen
sorry. My last thought there is you can't have multiple. Like you can't have Katie rivaling her on the vocals, and
right.
the whole point is that Regina is such more of a standout star than Katie, and Katie's supposed to be this very like girl next door character. So like,
Yes.
yeah, no, the vocals
Yes.
weren't great. They weren't supposed to be great. They were supposed to be, like you said, kind of her like
No.
murmurs in her head, and
Right.
just like, yeah, it's not that deep.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was they balanced it out well for what they needed to do. And Renee did not disappoint. And I really haven't seen any criticism suggesting that she did, or
No, no, no,
just
no. That's
anything
not what
for
I'd seen
Renee Rapp.
either.
No, no,
Oh,
no, no, no. But I'm saying like, um, the only thing with like the Regina, what is it called? Source material. Also, like Taylor Lautner, the original Regina George, and even, when Renee took it over, they were performing a songs meant for the stage and arrangements as such. Um, but like Renee now she's more widely known for being a pop star, and she is a really good pop star. So yeah, they're gonna like lean into the pop starness of these songs and like make them a little bit more
nuanced
commercial, if you
pop
will. Yeah.
rather than theatrical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it worked. But they still like respected the source. And so I thought it was all great. My biggest takeaway is that I was pleasantly surprised. Like I really thought from this criticism that it was like barely a musical. And I heard someone say, I actually know who it was, but I'm not gonna like call him out. A creator, if you will, that I really like a lot and agree with most of the time, commented after going to the premiere that like if they just would have leaned into it being a musical, it would have been so much better. And I did not think that they didn't do that. I can see in the marketing and the advertisement of it all how they weren't like Mean Girls, the musical, the movie. Like, fine, okay, and maybe that was on purpose, but as far as the execution within the film, I thought that they did
Yeah.
just as well as Hairspray did back in its day, and
Yeah.
all those other adapted
Totally. I think it's
musicals.
just the purists being like, they didn't use the whole soundtrack. But a lot of the people who
Yeah.
liked it or like are saying that didn't like the soundtrack for the Broadway show either.
Right.
That
Right.
got a lot of hate.
Right.
They're like, these songs are kind of dumb and very like
Yes.
high school. And it's like, yeah, it's a musical about a high school. And like and you
Yeah.
didn't like it then either. So people are just gonna find reasons to be mad. And I agree with you.
Yeah,
I didn't
for
think
sure.
it at all like didn't give musical to if that's what you were seeking, but it also didn't overdo it. Like there were no tap numbers, because
No.
that's not what
Right.
they're achieving. But I think we can sum that up by saying Savage says Mean Girls works for the third time.
Yeah.
And we
Mean
were
Girls.
fans.
I was trying to think of something punny, but I can't. So
We'll just leave it at that. Because
I'll get back
musicals,
to that. Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Don't sigh. This is our podcast. I also, a note that I think was very profound, if I do say so myself, is that the book was very congruous with the original book of the musical, like almost line for line. And we can say that with confidence because we have seen the show so many times, and I've watched the bootleg numerous amounts of times. I was very into Mean Girls the musical. It was like actually what got me through like my 18th year of life. Like I was obsessed. And so
well, 2 notes
it
on
was
that.
so
For those who don't know musicals or Broadway stuff so closely, the book refers to the script and like the dialogue. So like we're not actually referencing a book because the Mean Girls movie was based on a book. So right. Don't want to confuse anybody there. So you're talking about the dialogue, and yes, you're so right. They literally did take lines straight from the script.
Yes.
But the other thing is that you said congruous, and I think you said that earlier today, and I let it go. But that I don't think is a word. Did you mean congruent? She's looking it up.
On that.
Or maybe I'm mishearing you.
Congruous. Is that what I said? Congruous?
Yeah.
Or did I say congruent?
No, you say congruous, and that's the first time I was like, maybe she meant congruent.
In agreement. No, in agreement or in harmony with.
Congruous? I've never heard this word. Congruence?
Like in no. Congruous. Congruous. Are you really gonna look up exactly what I just looked up?
No, well, I can't. I'm still confused about how it's spelled. Can you spell it again?
CONCONGRUOUS.
Wow.
Like, have you ever heard
No. So
incongruous?
no,
So
and that's like
incongruous is
I
not in
am.
agreement
You're
with.
showing me up because I did not know this was a word. I stand corrected. This is a word. Congruous.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Savage says spelling corner with Caitlyn.
Yeah,
Congruous.
we're
Okay.
not killing it with our taglines today, but
No, but wow.
um
Okay. Well, and I wasn't like trying to like call you out. I just was like, wait, what? And I just learned something. So there's that.
yeah, I know things sometimes. But I do have one more note in that, Kelly, you can't keep saying that's really rude. Like, that's really like minimizing and rude.
Okay, that's not what I
I
meant. I just we had a goal for the finish time.
Okay, and we didn't meet it, but like don't just mess up the flow of things and be like, I don't care what you have to say because that's how it's reading and that's how I feel. And I think that these are things that not many people caught, and it's our podcast, and so I want to have this. I want to put it in our review. The backtracking was very reminiscent of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt and
Mm-hmm.
Famous Five Eva, which if you haven't seen or haven't heard of, those are also Tina Fey shows written and produced by, in collaboration with Nell Benjamin, who is her composer of A Husband. And
Wait, what? No, Nell Benjamin?
wait, no, not Nell Benjamin, Jeff Richmond. Nell Benjamin is one of the writers
Lyricist,
for
I
Legally
think.
Blonde. Lyricist,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But yes, it was funny. I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds like Kimmy Schmidt because it was the same. So I loved those little details too.
Yes, and if you are an Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt fan, which if you knew me in the year 2014, I made like 46 different people watch Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, so chances are you might have been one of them. John Hamm is a frequent Tina Fey collaborator. He played Coach Carr and was the creepy reverend who locked Kimmy Schmidt in the bunker
That's who it
in that show.
was. I was like, who is that? It was
Mm-hmm.
the
The
Reverend. Oh my
reverend,
gosh,
yeah.
so funny.
So many callbacks.
So
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. Well, speaking of lyrics, you have to go learn some, don't you?
I do. So I don't think I mentioned this. I'm in Beauty and the Beast here in Atlanta. Yay! With
Yay!
City Springs Theater once again. Love, love, love. And it's been so much fun. It's been such a fast process per usual. Lots of dancing, lots of silly fun. But the music for this show is no joke. It's all very high, very bright, if you will. A little too high for my liking. But more so than that, the lyrics are so confusing and there are so many lyrics. So I've got to do some studying. I might have to make a Quizlet or something. So just thoughts and prayers appreciated.
Well, and one might
And
think, Caitlin, just watch the Disney movie. But they're not the same songs, are they?
no, certainly not. There's only a few. Or like some of the songs from the movie are extended quite a bit. So
Okay. Yeah.
lots of new material.
Well, I can't wait to see it. We
Yeah,
are
if you're in
going
Atlanta, come see Beauty and the
in
Beast at
March.
Sandy Springs Performing Arts Center, March 8th through the 24th.
Yay! All right. Well, that's all, kiddies. If we do have permission to wrap,
Of course.
great. I will go fix us a salad at the mess hall for Kamp Kelly while Caitlin indulges in her studying. Hope everyone has an amazing week, or by the time you listen to this, is in the midst of an amazing week. We love ya. So glad you're with us, and hope to end February with a bang.
Yeah, see you next time. Bye.